Dun dun dun. Ming, ming, dun dun dun. Hello once again, Internet. Skolo here. And what I'm going to talk about this time, according to my little notebook, is something that's actually rather important when talking about debate. I sort of came into the middle of the theist debate. I'm a theist, but apparently I've made fast friends with the atheists. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's something that needs to be understood in a lot of my speech, and that I think everyone could do with a little bit of grounding in philosophy. There is a difference between the actual philosophical truth and the pragmatic truth. There's a difference between individual truth and objective truth. That's basically what it comes down to. First, we'll go with pragmatism versus philosophical truth, big T truth. Everyone's arguing what is necessarily true. People inside of a religion naturally believe that their religion tells them the big T truth because that's the definition of their religion. This book says this is the big T truth, therefore you must believe in it. Meanwhile, a lot of atheists, a lot of scientists argue along the lines of, I require this evidence indicates to me what is big T true, and that's why you should all think that way. Well, here's the thing. Science itself is intentionally limited in terms of natural methodology. It is methodologically naturalist. This is the actual term for it. In that you can't say, nothing exists except nature in terms of science, by definition, because all physical phenomenon must have naturalistic physical explanations. It's that simple. The reason why this is because we can use our observations in order to get a pragmatic view of the world around us, and then use that pragmatic view to influence our environment. Science influences technology, science informs engineering, that sort of thing. Now, we have mathematical models and theories regarding, say, electrons. Now, these relatively simple laws explain to a good enough approximation what exactly electrons do. And so therefore, by scientific reasoning, those rules are all that are absolutely necessary to explain the actuality of the electron, and therefore that's all you need. You don't need to assume any more. Now, that's not philosophical truth, mind. That is not necessarily big T truth. That's your pragmatic truth. Now, the actual philosophical, absolute, objective truth might actually be that electrons are little tiny pixies riding around on little tiny roller skates, carrying big boxes of fairy dust on their backs. That could actually possibly be an absolute truth. But as we can't observe the little pixies with their little pixie roller skates and their little pixie chests and their little pixie dust, we cannot prove that. And the thing is that a lot of people are arguing the absolute truth when what they're actually meaning is they're assuming that the pragmatic truth is the absolute truth, and therefore a theist trying to argue along the lines of something that cannot be proven, destined to fail. Likewise, theists are always trying to argue from an absolute philosophical truth, which fails when they're trying to convince atheists and rationalists and naturalists, because the naturalists are all thinking in terms of what can be proven, what is pragmatic truth. If the truth is not pragmatic, then you can't ever describe it. You can't ever prove it. So it need not exist, therefore it does not exist by the principle of parsimony. And with that, people just continuously argue this when they're trying to argue an objective reality, and that it affects everyone. When at least I've tried to straddle the gates by determining the difference between the objective and the personal truth. Naturalism, for all intents and purposes, is an objective truth because it affects everyone the same, and it's known to affect everyone the same. I know that gravity works. It's an objective truth. I mean, with very simple equations, I can describe the motion of this notepad and its center of mass in relation to the center of mass of the Earth, and I know that if I release its support, down it goes. Now, a personal truth is purely internal, and it has absolutely nothing to do with anything outside of the individual which holds that truth. Faiths and religions, in their best, when best expressed, are personal truths. I believe in a God. It is my God. It may not exist objectively. For all intents and purposes, I can't prove that it does, therefore, by parsimony, it does not. I'm fine with that, because my faith makes me comfortable, blah, 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 blah. Now, if I were to tell other people that my personal truth has to become their truth because it's somehow objective, I'm speechless. That's presumption at the very least. Although I do understand with the Christians and the Muslims, and I guess the Jews aren't particularly proselytizing, because it is a major portion of their faith that they spread the good news and save people's souls, the most important thing they can do. But the issue is that religion and faith are personal truths. A lot of people might share their personal truths, but that does not make them objectively true. On the same measure, that which we can prove to be true, or that which we have evidence to be true, is not necessarily all that is true. There may be stuff underneath it that we cannot see yet, or we may never be able to see. Both of these have to be kept in mind when people begin asserting claims to objective truth. And they have to, and so what people, their internal truths eventually end up being whatever makes them feel the most comfortable. Objective truths are self-evident by all intents and purposes. Now, because everyone is arguing for objective truth, well, that becomes the problem. Because it's just too simple to live and let live. Well, before my voice goes out on me or I get any more nasal, I got a little thing in the nose, I'm going to stop blathering and sign off. You have been the internet. I have been Skullpendra. Life has been good. Be decent to others, and